After wandering in the wilderness for nearly 40 years, the Israelites finally set up camp on the plains of Moab, near the Jordan River, across from Jericho. This marked a significant point in their journey toward the Promised Land. The vast number of Israelites alarmed the Moabites. King Balak and his people were filled with dread, fearing the Israelites would consume everything around them like a bull devours grass. Balak, the king of Moab, recognized that his people could not stand against the Israelites' strength. He sought a spiritual solution and sent messengers to Balaam, a well-known diviner, asking him to curse the Israelites. The messengers carried the following plea to Balaam: "A people has come out of Egypt and covered the earth. Come, curse them for me so I can defeat them and drive them out. I know that whomever you bless is blessed, and whomever you curse is cursed." The elders of Moab and Midian traveled to Balaam, carrying payment for divination services, and presented Balak's request. Balaam instructed the messengers to stay overnight, so he would consult God to determine what to do. That night, God asked Balaam who the visitors were. Balaam explained King Balak's request to curse the Israelites. God firmly told Balaam not to go with the men or curse the Israelites because they were blessed. Balaam obeyed God and told the Moabite messengers to return to Balak, as God had forbidden him from going. Determined to secure Balaam's help, Balak sent a larger and more distinguished group of messengers, offering Balaam greater rewards and honors. Despite the enticing offer, Balaam reiterated that he could not go against God's will, regardless of the riches offered. Balaam asked the messengers to stay another night so he could see if God had more instructions for him. God allowed Balaam to go with the men but warned him to speak only the words he commanded. Though God permitted Balaam to go, he was angry because Balaam's heart was inclined toward the reward rather than obedience. As Balaam traveled on his donkey with 2 attendants, an angel of Jehovah stood in the road with a drawn sword. Balaam could not see the angel, but the donkey did. The donkey veered off the road into a field. Balaam struck the donkey to get it back on the road. The angel moved to a narrow path between 2 vineyard walls. The donkey, seeing the angel again, pressed itself against a wall, crushing Balaam's foot. Balaam struck the donkey again. After that, the angel for the 3rd time stood in a spot so narrow there was no room to turn. The donkey then laid down under Balaam, who began to beat it furiously once again. God miraculously enabled the donkey to speak. It asked Balaam why it had been beaten it 3 different times. Angry and humiliated, Balaam accused the donkey of making a fool of him and threatened to kill it if he had a sword. The donkey then reminded Balaam of its years of faithful service, asking him if it had ever acted this way before. Balaam admitted it had not. God opened Balaam's eyes, and he saw the angel standing in the road with a drawn sword. Balaam bowed low in reverence. The angel questioned Balaam's treatment of the donkey, explaining that the donkey had saved Balaam's life by turning away. If not for the donkey, the angel would have killed Balaam and spared the donkey. Balaam acknowledged his sin and offered to turn back if his journey displeased God. Finally, the angel of God allowed Balaam to continue but reiterated that he must speak only the words God gave him. When Balak heard that Balaam had come, he immediately went out to meet him at the city of Moab, which is on the bank of the Arnon on the border of the territory. Balak said to Balaam, "Did I not send for you? Why did you not come to me? Did you think I am not able to honor you greatly?" Balaam replied to Balak, "Well, I have come to you now, but will I not be allowed to say anything? I can only speak with words that God puts in my mouth." So Balaam went with Balak. Balak sacrificed cattle and sheep and sent some to Balaam and the princes who were with him. In the morning Balak took Balaam and brought him up to Bamoth Baal where he could see all the people. After that, Balaam still tried to curse Israel 3 times, but each time he tried to, God made him to bless them instead. Eventually, the Israelites' people attacked Moab, and Balaam was killed. Moral lessons from the story of Balaam's talking donkey. 1. Obedience to God is paramount. Balaam's initial refusal to curse the Israelites demonstrated obedience to God's instructions. However, his later hesitation and pursuit of Balak's rewards reveal the dangers of placing personal desires above God's will. 2. God's plans cannot be thwarted. Despite Balak's repeated attempts to curse the Israelites, God protected his chosen people. This shows that no human power can overturn God's blessings or plans. 3. Greed can lead to spiritual blindness. Balaam's willingness to reconsider God's command because of Balak's promises of honor and wealth highlights how greed can cloud judgment and lead to poor decisions. 4. God's patience and guidance are merciful. Despite Balaam's missteps, God patiently intervened through the angel and the donkey to correct him. This underscores God's willingness to guide and redirect us when we stray. 5. Even the humblest creatures can be instruments of God. The donkey, often seen as a lowly animal, became God's instrument to save Balaam and deliver a message. This teaches us that God can use anyone or anything to fulfill his purposes. 6. Self-reflection is essential. Balaam's eventual realization of his error shows the importance of acknowledging one's mistakes, seeking forgiveness, and realigning oneself with God's will. 7. God sees beyond actions to the heart. God's anger toward Balaam was not just about his actions but also about his inner intentions, which leaned toward personal gain. This reminds us that God judges not only what we do but also the motives behind our actions. 8. The power of blessings and curses lies with God alone. Balak believed that Balaam's words alone could determine Israel's fate. However, the story emphasizes that blessings and curses are under God's sovereign control, not man's. 9. Resistance to God's will leads to consequences. Balaam's defiance of God's initial command almost led to his death. This highlights the importance of yielding fully to God's direction to avoid unnecessary suffering. 10. Trust in God's protection. The Israelites, unaware of Balak's schemes, were protected by God throughout. This reminds us that God is our defender, even when we don't see the battles being fought on our behalf. These moral lessons encourage trust in God, obedience, humility, and the rejection of greed and self-interest. They remind us of God's sovereignty and his ability to use even unexpected means to guide and protect his people. Thank you all for watching. If you enjoyed the whole part of this beautiful story, please drop a like on the video and leave a comment on your favorite part of the story, moral lessons, character acts and so on. Also share the story with your friends and family. It's been a long way getting here and I really appreciate all of you who watched the story to the end. Thank you once again and do subscribe to the channel, Bible Tales Unfolded, so you won't miss out on our next story. And as always, do have a lovely day. Thank you.